Thank you so much, Trishana, for that gorgeous introduction. It's really lovely to be here today. I suppose I'll start off a little bit around, I just have a few figures to go through with you. 600,000 hours is how many hours that, if we have a life expectancy of 80 years, that we will be here on this earth, okay? About 200,000 of those hours we spend asleep. Does anyone want to guess how many hours we spend at work? Less than that, actually, but that's a big number, yeah. We spend close to 100,000. About 90,000 hours is what we spend in work. So when you consider, that's quite a lot of time to be in work. And thank you so much. And as a result, you want to make sure that you're working in a job that you really like, or a career or a profession that you really enjoy, okay? So that's one of the, I suppose, reasons I'm here and I do what I do. It goes back to this quote here: your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do work which you believe is great work. So what I want to do today is to just go through a few bits that can guide you in your job search here. I presume you're here today because you're either looking to make a change, or maybe you have no role at the moment and you're looking to get a new job, okay? It can be very overwhelming experience. I've met with some people earlier on today or just this morning, and there's a lot to it in the recruitment. You know, there's a lot happening in applying for roles. But yeah, we'll get onto that in a little bit. I want to help you to get purpose into your job search today. So starting off is, I know Trishana gave me a lovely introduction there, but I want to just give you a little bit more about me. So I started off many moons ago in the hospitality industry. I worked in hotels, and from there I got into HR in hotels. And some of the times our career moves can happen by accident in our lives. So I went from HR in hotels and went into luxury retail then for 12 years, where I worked as a business partner. And I also did a master's in Work and Organisational Behaviour in UL down the road here. A fascinating course. I learned so much about company cultures, how they design their work, loads on recruitment strategies, talent management, and all of that side of things. So after about 12 years, I left my HR role, and I've gone out as a career coach now. And what I do now is support people in finding the job that they want to get into, or the career path that they want to get into. And I suppose, going back to the amount of hours we spend at work, making sure that their work is enjoyable. Because I think Dara hinted to it there in the end of his presentation. Our work life spills into our personal life. And if you're not happy in one, it can spill into the other, and vice versa. So that's my purpose here today, is to try and get you to, I guess, view your job search with intention. So what we're going to look for here is what matters most in work. What I'm going to cover is doing your research, really important. Purpose in your CV, the interview, and then a little Japanese model that I've come across in my research as well. So I'll just start off here with what matters most. So when I was doing research coming into today, what I looked at, rather than looking at what are job seekers looking for, I looked at what are people currently employed, what's their main things that keep them happy in their job. And the first thing is work-life balance. Very popular term. Is it possible to do? It varies really depending on the type of role you do, the culture of the organisation you work in. But it's the number one piece that's important to people in the workplace at the moment. Being able to work and then switch off and go into your personal life. Salary is a big one as well. So for people here today, sometimes for Irish people, salary can be a bit of an awkward one to discuss. But it's really important for you as a job seeker to take note of salaries. There's new legislation coming down the line that's going to make it a legal requirement to display salaries. We're not at that point at this right now, but we're getting there, and it will be in future. If you're confused about, oh, I'm not really sure what my salary is, what I should be looking for, if you go on to, there's some recruitment agents, they actually publish salaries. And those, if you just go onto their website, those salaries are based on the placements that they've made over the past 12 months. So it'll give a good indication of either the role you have been doing or the role you'd like to go into. What are the salaries out there on the market at the moment? So that's one thing, just pay attention to, okay? Flexible working arrangements. This is a huge piece for people in the workplace. It's, I suppose, again, down to the company culture of where you're going to be looking for a role, but just doing your bit of research to make sure that you know that there are flexible working arrangements. So whether that's hybrid, remote, or on-site roles. Comprehensive benefit packages. So when you consider your salary, also consider not just the salary when you're speaking to recruiters, but you might talk to them about the overall benefits package. So it could be healthcare might be important to you. There's other things like pension, that might be another important factor for you. And job security then is another one. So that's quite, I suppose, a difficult one at the moment. There's quite a lot of contracts coming up that are, for example, there's permanent roles and there's contract roles that are out there. So you need to make a decision, I guess, when you're looking for a role. Are you going to go for the contract role or the permanent role? If you're going for contract role and say, for example, you want to go for a mortgage, you might want to, look at more permanent roles. So just consider all of these factors. What stage of life are you in that you need to? Positive company culture, career development opportunities. Just do as much research as you can in regards to these elements. And also when you are looking at, companies that you are exploring, try and talk to people who already work there. Get a sense of what it's like to work there, as well as, when you look on LinkedIn, sometimes it's just the role, but to get a feel of the culture, it's really important that you look at, speak to people that are already there. Okay, so I spoke a little bit around this already, the companies. The location is another piece. I work a lot with clients who are, some of them have been made redundant, and this is a really difficult situation for some people, and there can be a panic that sets in applying for multiple roles. And they don't care where the role is because they're in such a panic to get a job, and that's their main purpose. But what I say to people is be very mindful of the location that you're, applying for where the job is, because you don't want to end up spending 3-4 hours every day commuting because the perfect job you found, but it's in another county and you're having to deal with traffic every day. So these are all small considerations. They sound quite simple, but you'd be so surprised at people who are just get me a job, I just need a job. The other one is culture. I've touched on that already. Also consider the size of the company you want to work for. There is a tendency for a lot of people to go for the big companies, well-known, well-established. Don't underestimate the mid-sized companies, smaller, family-owned companies, because you could have more progression there, more visibility, more contact with senior managers. So just kind of think about a little bit outside the box. And then, the industry you want to work in. So that's another one. You can work in one industry, but have transferable skills to go into another industry. So just open your mind that just because you're in this industry that you can't leave. There are ways of transitioning to other industries. I'll go through a little example of that in a second. And then your network, I touched on that already. For a lot of people, like a lot of clients that I deal with, it is difficult when you are on your job search. And sometimes it can be difficult to reach out to people because you feel like you're asking them for something, but don't underestimate. People are happy to help you. So just take the time to think about, okay, so I know so-and-so, I used to work with them, 5 years ago, and I know that they've moved on to another company. Don't be afraid to either pop them a message on LinkedIn, or if you're still in touch with them, have their number, connect with them. And there's referral system or referral schemes that are run in companies, and they will, people working there will get even a reward for recommending someone they know. So just think about a little bit outside the box, think about people that you know. And job opportunities, yeah. So we'll just go on. So I had a client a while back, and he came to me first, and he was a fisherman. And he said, I want to change into another career, but I don't know where to start. He said, I loved fishing. Years ago, I used to, thrive on it, being away for time, days on end. But I've got a family now, and I have 2 children, and I need to kind of be more stable, I suppose, income, because as you might know in fishing, there's no guarantee of a haul, and you don't know what's going to come in. So you could have a great month, 1 month, and then the next month there could be nothing. So he needed stability. He needed to, I suppose, have more regular work pattern, that he wasn't away for long lengths of time. So what we did was we actually sat down and we looked at what qualification, what he did on a daily basis. So his experience on the boat was actually quite similar to what they required for an operator in a pharmaceutical company. So he had to have quality control for the fish coming in. He had to, he had using heavy machinery. He had to fix machinery. He worked shift work. So all of these type of things were very valuable for him going for a role. It is a regulated industry, and that was one of his selling points, that he was able to go forward in applying for the pharmaceutical role. So what we looked at was his transferable skills, and just having a little paragraph like this. So if you want to transition, we'd say, from one industry to another, just having a little paragraph like this at the top of your CV can be very useful. So we just said, that he had a strong background in quality-focused operations, just describing what he did, and then why he's looking to move into another industry and what skills he can bring. You want that in the top of your CV. Catch the recruiter's attention from the beginning. This is your selling piece. So just make sure it's very catchy from the start. And that applies to everyone, not if you're just changing roles. So I often say to people as well, put a bit of purpose into your CV. There's a lot of talk around AI at the moment. I'm sure it'll come up as a topic. Lots of people are getting help with AI for their CVs. And it is very useful to use AI. But like I was speaking to someone earlier, and I think it's important you have to put your own personal touch on it. So keywords that they're looking for in the job advert, make sure that they're in your CV. I would caution, just don't put your full information into AI with your name, address, and phone number. Just try and keep that out. Try and take the information from AI as regards if they wanted to, design a CV. So using the keywords is really important for you. I'm sure a lot of you are probably using AI at the moment for CVs. Make sure you checking for spellings and different things like that, and attention to detail. It's a very useful tool, but don't just trust it fully, fully trust it. Use your own discretion as well. Going back to people applying for roles, what I notice is some people, not everyone, but they think that if they apply for 100 jobs with the same CV, that something's going to stick somewhere. They'll just throw them all out and something will land and they'll get a call. I would say to you, if you just could we'd say do half the applications or even a third of the applications and tailor your CV and spend time on a cover letter. Make it sound like you are looking for this particular employer, that this is the only job you want for every single job that you apply for, because mass applications are, I suppose, they can get disregarded if you're using the same CV for every single job. So just cut down on the applications and focus on the keywords, cover letter, making sure that you are making it relevant for what you're applying for. Because recruiters at the other side are overwhelmed by massive amounts of applications, so you need your one to stand out from the crowd. And again, if you have a contact that's in the company you're applying for, just give them a tip off and say, look, there's a role I saw advertised, I put in my CV, just want to mention it to you if you know anyone that might be able to help my application. That's another thing. Keep it to 2 pages. I've seen a few CVs the last couple of weeks and people are like, oh, I can't get it down to 2 pages and, you know, I need to keep it all in there. Just watch your structure, because some people have a big, massive white space at, you know, in the margin where they might just have their latest employer. And some people leave massive gaps at the end. Utilize as much as you can of the page and just keep it to 2 pages. That's enough for a recruiter. People's attention spans, they're quite limited right now. It's a really quick scan, or else it's using an ATS system. So you want to make sure you've got all the information that you need in there so that it's relevant. And the other recommendation I would say in putting purpose into your CV would be use an achievements section, you know, when you're describing your job, as opposed to just taking it from the job description. Try and see if you can put in, what did you achieve in your last role? So, like, instead of saying, you know, I did this, try and say, what was the output of what you did? So your team might have had a project that you had a result in, but what was the result? And that will, 6 to 8 points, probably 6 is probably enough with 2 lines each. That would be better catching than we'd say having a whole job description, because the next person is going to have the very same, you know. Yeah, and then don't forget your transferable skills. The interview then. So does anyone here like doing interviews? Oh, really? Can I ask why? Because I Pardon? It's fun. Oh yeah, very good. And you know what? Yeah, they are fun, and they are also a way for you to get information about the company that you're going to. For the vast majority of us, they're very scary. People are very uncomfortable with them. But it's all just a matter of, I suppose, taking time to prepare. And preparing examples is key for you going into an interview. Preparing, okay, so I'm going for this role. This is what they're looking for. Even go through the job description line by line and think of an example in your last job of what, what you would have done and what you would have achieved, and try and bring that into the interview then. I would also encourage you to remember that the people at the other side of the table do want to hire you. So I've worked in HR, I really want to fill the role. So you're willing people some of the time to, I want to secure this person, I need to get this role filled. We've had it open for 3-4 weeks now, or even a couple of months. And in order for every business to operate at 100% efficiency, it's really important to have every role filled. So just try and go in it with the view that people do want to give you the job, but how can I present myself to be the best person for the job? And don't worry about nerves, because you need to have adrenaline going through your body to perform, and you get adrenaline from your nerves. So just control them. So whether it's just taking a few deep breaths before you go in, they're all really important things to do, I suppose, to prepare for an interview. Get a good night's sleep the night before, make sure you've had something to eat. Simple, basic things, but they're very important for your performance. Also consider, is the interview online or in person? So online interviews are still being held. Simple things, this might sound very basic to some people, and you might go, oh, that's so easy, I do that. But for people who don't, just, your background behind you when you're in an interview online, just make sure that it's either got the, on Teams or Zoom, you can put in the kind of temporary backgrounds if your background is messy or anything like that. Because what can happen is it can lead to the recruiter actually getting distracted. So one of my more unusual stories of holding an interview online was, I had a candidate, and he actually had a cage in the background with 5 parrots in it. And I actually couldn't concentrate because they were jumping around in the background, and it just totally distracted me from the candidate, even though I would be quite qualified in interviews and things like that. So don't underestimate the background. Make sure it's clean and free from any animated things. So also look at who are the interviewers. So, you know, if you're going meeting a finance manager as part of the process, just in your sales background, make sure you're talking about figures, because that's the type of language they want to hear. If you're meeting someone from HR, you're going to bring in more of the people element of things. So just think about those few things as well when you're going for interview. Network we spoke a lot around, and research and prepare examples. So I think we've covered all that. And then I'm just going to leave you with this model. The ideal world is Ikigai, is leading your life with purpose. And the ideal thing is that you do what you're good at, you do what you love, what the world needs as well, and what can you be paid for. So that's the ideal scenario. So I wish you all the best in putting purpose into your job search. Don't panic. There's a lot, you're not on your own. There's a lot of other people in the similar situation to you. And yeah, and support each other as well. And have fun. All right, thank you so much.